All right. Welcome back to another Footy Thoughts recording. This is Joey,
Casey.
trying to recover from a horrible game week 8 prediction slate from the boys.
Well,
Well, Casey got his goal scorer right, Mateta. I got Isak wrong. Horrible one-on-one chance that he blew, but we'll get to the games. We'll review them here in a second. We are going to preview game week 9. This is Wednesday. Champions League just finished up. We'll have Europa League games tomorrow. So FPL wise, just chilling on transfers, making sure you don't do anything dumb until we have news conferences come out. But yeah, we'll go straight into the Friday night game, Leeds against West Ham. Um, we saw West Ham's on Monday against Brentford. Oh, hey, I'm going to tell you this. How about my bees? Big
okay. Hey.
away, huge away fixture. I actually expected a lot more from Nuno in this first game. I,
Yeah.
I
One
remember
would think.
I remember checking at halftime, it being like, not that I expected him to become like an offensive powerhouse, but like zero shots, like zero XG during the first half, and then Brentford just took complete control of that game. Kind of leads me into what I'm feeling for this Leeds team. We mentioned it before earlier in the season that Ellen Road is just a different place to go to, even though they are a championship team. We're seeing, outside of the top six, some of the mid-table, lower-table teams struggle away there. So, I backed a lot of teams last week, a lot of home teams. None of them really went my way, but I feel pretty strong about Leeds here at home, especially our fan favorite DCL. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I just want to talk about this West Ham Brentford game because I took a bet on Jared Bowen to score a goal. And so I watched that whole thing, or at least I was watching while working a little bit. And I mean, that was horrid. It was horrid. I mean, Nuno had no idea what he was doing with this starting lineup. Paqueta at the 9. Obviously, he didn't play, a true number 9 role. But Callum, I mean, the amount of times they went back to Callum Wilson on the bench, just sitting there, and obviously he was so pissed off. He's like, "Why are you starting a 10 at the 9? Why are you trying to get cute in your first game, trying to figure out this squad?" I mean, it was horrible. It did not work. Um, they started Fernandez at the 10. I'm a fan of this guy, but like he's not a true 10. He's one of those guys that you have somewhere in the center midfield that you have him playing a little bit deeper, but he can still like attack when he wants to. Not necessarily a box to box, but just someone who like really controls the game from the back end, but it's not necessarily your star number 10. Somerville is a really good player, and his talent is being very wasted here at West Ham. Decided to bench Malik Doof, who
Yeah.
has been one of the best chance creators, a really good bright spot inside of a horrid situation. Decided to bench him for Kyle Walker Peters. It's just like, what are you doing, man? Like you can't walk into this team that is absolutely distraught and just sure you want to try some new things because what they were doing before was not working, but doing it like this, it was whack to me. And they were horrible. I mean, they got absolutely dominated in every which way by Brentford, who are a great team. I really like this Brentford team. They've done a great job replacing their stars that they've sold, and yeah, credit to them. But it's just Nuno. If you keep up, he's going to lose the locker room so fast if he keeps trying to do stuff like this. So, anyways, rant, but I lost a bet on Bowen, so that's why.
I did think about like Nuno's always had like when he was at Wolves, Raul Jimenez, not the biggest guy, but kind of a demanding number 9, can win the ball, poacher. And then he had years to create a defensive setup at Wolves. Then he goes to Forest, where there already are defensive to begin with, but then he has Chris Woods, where he's always had this central number 9 striker. So if Fulcrum was healthy, I could see them. Not that he's anywhere near, the talent of Raul Jimenez at the time at Wolves and Chris Wood last season, but still kind of like there's a theme in Nuno's setup that's like there's a big guy up top, we're
True.
defensively sound. So I did notice that with Paqueta. But really quick to go back to Leeds, I had predicted them to give Burnley a game last week, and they did lose 2-0. However, Burnley only had 0.45 xG, while Leeds away had 2.63. So
Mm.
I don't feel wrong. I don't feel like, I mean, obviously I chose Leeds to win or at least get a point. They lost, but like if they're putting up 2.6 xG away to Burnley, I this I it's hard not to predict this
Sure.
Leeds blowout against West Ham.
Yep.
But it's a
Yeah.
Friday night game. Those are always different. It's not your classic 9 a.m. kick. I'll be playing DCL in fantasy. I also have their left back Goodmanson.
That's a I it's risky because and I have a lot of bias there. It's risky, but in terms of like a pure, he's obviously a differential. He's cheap. He's a starting nine. I think he's on pens probably.
Who knows? They have that
I think that
Scotch guy, but yeah, who knows?
but they would probably give it to DCL. Either way, I think that's a sound pick in theory.
Well, I mean, hey, no big chances missed last game. We're only trending.
Trending, trending.
All right, that was way too much time on Leeds West Ham, but that's just how it goes when Casey and I get going. But we'll go into Saturday. Only 4 games. I don't know what's going on. I don't know because there's 4 9 a.m. games on Sunday. But
I wonder who has a bye.
shut up. The Chelsea Sunderland game is the first game we'll pick. Chelsea actually just won today, 5-1 at home to Ajax in the Champions League. They got some key players rotated as well as rested. Got some people like Mark Gui, Gittins got a return today, so they're getting good rotation not only for minutes but also for players' confidence. Sunderland, who have been the surprise of the season so far, I can't remember the exact tweet, but they had the easiest run through these first 8 game weeks, and their fixture schedule just completely flips. They have an absolute gauntlet coming through, and away to Stamford Bridge to start is not ideal. Cole Palmer still won't be playing. I forgot Malagusto got the late red card, so he will not be playing either. But they seem to be doing fine without. I think they average like a red card a game at least in the last 4 games. So whoever gets a red card, they just plug and play. I mean, I don't know how. I didn't predict the 18-year-old center back Akampong to score and then Neto score a free kick and then Reece James score. So they're still getting the goals. This is pretty much as I think close book as a fixture there is. 3-0, 3-1. Their defense isn't amazing. Sunderland still has a talent, but this should be an easy Chelsea win. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Chelsea's so banged up, and Sunderland is, like you said, they're entering a gauntlet type of time where this is where the true test starts
Mm-hmm.
for, a newly promoted team like Chelsea was, like Sunderland with so many changes. Um, I don't think this is a easy Chelsea win, to be honest. But I do think that Sunderland is going to have to not pull out a miracle, but they're going to have to grind and get very lucky if they're going to come away with this with a point. Um, so I would predict I think they're going to lock it down. Like I don't think they're going to give Chelsea much opportunity to create with open space at all. I would think Chelsea is going to need to be very spectacular in order to put in order to put more than 2 goals in. I would think they need to be pretty spectacular. So I would just say like a 2-1 Chelsea or a 2-0 Chelsea sort of thing.
Okay, I like
Um,
that.
so
Sunderland, they beat Wolves at home this past week, but like the data wise, Wolves were equally into that game. And then when Forest
yeah.
played Chelsea, Forest had a couple of chances to go in and get a goal. I don't know if it was an equalizer, take the lead. I forgot what stage of the game, but early on they were really testing Chelsea and Robert Sanchez. But that was an away fixture. But like I said, I expect Chelsea at home, Stamford Bridge, to take care of things. Moving on, Newcastle against Fulham. Newcastle won yesterday 3-0 against Benfica, I believe, with Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes. So good to see those guys getting on the score sheet. Woltemade, I think he played 75 minutes, so he should be completely rested and fine for this game. Against a Fulham team who are really not in the best of form. I know they lost to Arsenal and Bournemouth in the last
And
two
Villa.
games. And Villa, okay, so they did. I just didn't know what order that was
Mhm.
in, but um, this this is exactly
This
where
one's a weird
this
one.
is where I like right where I bite in. I'm like, ooh, yeah, Newcastle just won.
Yeah, yeah.
They just
Newcastle at
won three
home.
0 at Benfica, but they lost to Brighton away. But like they have a good squad. Like they have players where you think, oh, they're good, but only such a few of them are in form. But then you have Fulham, who are three losses in their last three, and so you try and just find that thread the needle of like, okay, well, Newcastle are actually winning, but they're playing more games. Do they have the squad depth to play a game every 3 or 4 days? Um, I was too cocky last week. It's kind of influencing my thinking now. I don't want to say draw, but I think a 1 goal margin is probably, if they were to win, is what I would call it at.
I think that's fair. I think this game could be in line for something like dramatic ending. I don't know. This is why Fulham is a little bit of a bogey team for me because they're one of those rock solid mid-table PL teams that will just get through adversity in weird spots that I can never predict. And this feels like one of those spots for me. But when I'm looking at it, I don't think this Josh King kid
Mhm.
is the answer. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's going to be a PL starter. Um, and I think this Newcastle team is refinding, especially a home form. I can't remember the year. It wasn't last year, but maybe the year prior or something like that. I mean, Newcastle was an absolute fortress at home, and the environment is always insane at
Yep.
Newcastle games now, and they've got mostly healthy folks. They're missing a few midfielders, but I mean, it's just a strong team in that kind of environment, and they have their goal scorers ready to go. Um, if this isn't a comfortable win for Newcastle, and by comfortable I mean a clean sheet and 2 goals, um, then I would say it would be a dramatic ending that feels like Newcastle is dominating the game the entire time. Because I do like defensively, especially, I like them right now. I think they're back to that defensive form that we saw a few years ago. But their goal scoring can be in question, especially against a team like Fulham with Leno, and Fulham always has a good defense when they want to. So yeah, I would say borderline comfortable Newcastle win, otherwise a pretty dramatic, maybe late 80 plus minute winner with a 1 goal margin.
I like you playing both sides there.
Always do.
Uh, we'll move on to the 11:30 kick. You have Manchester United against Brighton. Brighton coming off a big win at home to Newcastle, as we just talked about, with a brace from old balls Danny Welbeck still kicking it. And then going to Old Trafford, playing Manchester United, who it's one of those like hindsight 2020s where like Liverpool can't keep a clean sheet. They're losing games, but like you and I are both like, oh, this is an easy Liverpool win against United, and then they come in and get a result at Anfield. So I feel like this is also a trap game. The same with Newcastle Fulham. We're like, oh yeah, dude, United just beat Liverpool. Like they've got this, easily in the bag against Brighton. I don't want to give that to them yet. I really like. I'm even in my pick'em league. I think I'm going to give this a draw. I think it's like a 2-2. I can't fully dive into this United team just yet. I, I
When you
saw
have to rely on Harry Maguire, I mean, who knows?
I saw something that like Amarim purposely didn't play Sesko because he the goalie hit like 37 of his 38 passes or were all long balls, if that makes sense. So he was just clearing it up top, and they tactically didn't play to win the header, he purposely put three people around to win the second ball, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. So like,
Yeah.
sure it worked, but like that's just too far out there for me. Like
Yeah.
tactically, that's just like two 4D, 5D chess. But I mean, you have to give them respect. They beat Liverpool. I'm not taking that away from them, but like I just can't fully give them that. Like, okay, flip the switch. I'm back in. So I'm gonna go with this 2-2, maybe 1-1, like whatever the draw may be, because I do see Brighton still scoring on them.
Yeah. No, I'm well within agreement on this one because it's kind of a system play at this point. Brighton away to a team that's like they don't have a great defense, that sort of thing. Always. I mean, this is a 2-1 either team or a 2-2. Yeah. Because I don't see Brighton keeping a clean. I don't see Brighton. This is one of those things where I get trapped in where I'm like, look at all the talent that United has, and then, they can't score. But I don't see Brighton keeping a clean sheet. I would say 2-1 either team or a 2-2. Yeah.
I'm not saying they can't get there. I can't flip the switch that
Yeah,
quickly.
I agree.
Like they
I
did beat
agree.
Sunderland 2-0, but it's a newly promoted team, so I like I said, I think there's goals. I think Brighton scores. I think it's a draw.
Hmm.
I just
Yep.
I'll leave it at that. The final game on Saturday is Brentford at home to Liverpool. Did you catch any of that game by chance today? Because I saw that they were running both Ekatike and Isak up top. It looked like a 4-4-2, but
I was working and I had quite a few calls, but I did have it on the side. I had Golasso on the side. Um, Hugo's goal was great. He looked very good. Hugo did look very
well, it
good.
was the revenge game, so you got to give it an
It was
asterisk.
the revenge game, yeah. I would say that I would attribute it. It's pretty close here, but I would attribute it more so to Frankfurt's defense being way too open and their space being way too open. I would attribute it to that way. I would attribute that more than, Liverpool actually dominating the game. I mean, Frankfurt had a lot of really good chances. Um, but I mean, both teams looked pretty good on the attack. I mean, Ekitike looked very good. Gakpo looked very good. Verts looked like he was getting more involved into what his role should be, I guess, at
Like he was back
Liverpool.
in
But that's
Germany.
like he was back in Germany. Yeah. Yeah.
No, we mentioned like my bees and all of that, but they did score 5 goals after all, and it showed that Slot can play with the rotated Liverpool team. I know Salah came on, but he didn't start. It'd be interesting. Isak did come off with a groin injury at halftime. There are no reports about how serious that is as of yet. I Liverpool are off that United loss. I think they're off like 3 straight losses before that, before this Champions League game today, or they were winless in 3, whatever it may be. I'm still gonna go with them on this one, even though it is against my bees, my Brentford bees. Um, I think Slot is arrogant. I think that we all knew that they bought Ekatike, and they're like, well, why are they going to buy Isak? Where? How are they going to play? How are they going to figure this out? How are they going to play all these players all at once? Of course, Verts isn't starting how people want him to. I think that like you said, it was part Frankfurt being too open. They're not great defensively, but I think it is Slot being like, okay, I tweaked something. We scored 5 goals. I'm gonna run with this
Yeah.
because even with their horrific form, like we shouldn't be stressing about Brentford. Like a month from now, Liverpool have won 5 straight. Like, are we going to be surprised? Is what I'm trying
Sure.
to think of. So, trying to
I'm with you.
trying to use what was given, and this is also me assuming Slot learns from tactically what they did today. So, expect Brentford to be a little bit more defensive, so maybe more of like a 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. But then again, like we're watching college football, and then the score comes on. It's like, oh, Liverpool, 3-1. So
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with it.
I like that, especially the point of I think Slot learned something today with that game away to Frankfurt, regardless of, the amount of space and lack of discipline defensively that Frankfurt gave him. I think Slot learned something, but I don't think that that correlates with not starting Salah. Like I want people to understand that they're gonna start Salah, but he still learned something from the Frankfurt game tactically of how this system's going to work with Liverpool with Isak in it, especially because that's the kind of I don't know what the correct phrase would be, but Isak at the nine is something you have to figure out because he's obviously a extremely talented player. It's just how do you get the other guys to develop chemistry with him? And I don't think did he score today? I don't think he
No, he was
did
on the.
anything.
He had a
But
few shots
either
on target, but yeah, didn't score.
yeah, but exactly. But either way, like I think you're right. That Slot learned something today. I do think Brentford is good enough to actually take it to them, and I will say that versus Frankfurt, the fullbacks of Liverpool were getting cooked.
Okay.
They were getting cooked. Frimpong was getting cooked. Robertson was getting cooked. Um, Now Sade and Altara aren't necessarily super crazy good dribblers or anything like that. I mean, they're speedy. Um, but I could see Brentford being quite dangerous. And I think they'll have some really good chances, but I think I agree with you. I'm going to lean Liverpool here and say that Slot learned something and they have the talent to shut this down.
I'm looking at their average position from today, and it like what you expect with two strikers is one slightly ahead of the other, but then you had Verts and Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones just like in a triangle right behind them. So
Yeah.
even though it said Verts was right mid, he really was just like it was a tight. They were leaving the outside wide open. Granted, that could tactically change against Brentford, but I wouldn't mind seeing that again. But we have to expect that Salah is going to start in the
Yeah.
Premier League. Okay, so those are the Saturday games. We'll move on to Sunday. We've got the first 9 a.m. game. We have Bournemouth against Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth was a part of an electric game away to Crystal Palace last week that ended 3-3. Krupi Jr., who I'd only heard of via FPL because he was a 4.5 million forward, got 2 goals, both kind of scrappy. But props to him for being, right time, right place, making the runs needed. Uh, Forest, of course, lost. I guess we haven't mentioned it yet. They fired their manager, Ange. Shortest,
In the tunnel, baby. In the tunnel.
shortest Premier League tenure, I believe. I think just like 8 games, and then they hired Deichball. The memes are flying around already. They've got their 2 center backs. The coaches who were his training staff were all like arms in arm on the training ground, getting a picture, and they're wearing like the old school Adidas like Copa like Mundial like leather boots with the huge tongue. So like the stage is setting itself for Forest.
Yeah. Lock
Probably
it down, boys.
probably too
Lock it
early. Like
down.
I don't like I'll give it to Bournemouth still here just because they are scoring goals and they're in the form of a lifetime from the season. As we mentioned constantly, they lost all these players over the summer. They're still figuring out how to get results. Forest away. Like anytime Dyche is away, like they're gonna pack it in. But I think it's just with Nuno. It's still too early for Dyche in his first game to I think get a point for them here.
Yeah, I don't see it. I'm laughing because the foot mob. I don't think this is the predicted lineup, but it's just funny how I open it and Sean Dyche's first game, and they have five defenders, three midfielders, and just like the most narrow, flattest but longest, just
Yeah.
like lock it down type of lineup ever. Um, I think Bournemouth is a super exciting team. They've got Justin Kluivert back, who I'm very interested to see how he plays in this game, particularly because, I mean, he's a great footballer. He's a great 10, and him playing alongside Semenyo is always fun to watch. But if he can unlock what we know is going to be a let's lock it down type of transition for this Forest team, it's going to be it's going to be interesting going forward for them. And this Krupi guy, if he can take his chances where he gets them, I don't think he scores versus, three center backs all marking him in the box. But if he can, I mean, that's great news. But no, I think this is easy Bournemouth for me.
He is one to watch though because Evangelson is out until middle of November with an
Yeah.
injury. So there's still another international break to go, but he could be an interesting 4.5 striker. Same with Gui, how do you pronounce his name? Mark for Chelsea.
Glee, glee, wee.
Gui, he's finally. I mean,
What could have been at Sunderland?
yeah, he's been scoring. He just the lapse out of course. João Pedro can't play every game, so another one to watch. But yeah, same page. Bournemouth most likely getting it over fours, but after last week, man, like who knows? Who knows? Okay, next game is going to be Arsenal against Crystal Palace. Arsenal smoked Atletico Madrid in the Champions League 4-0. Palace, as we just mentioned, played Bournemouth in that 3-3 draw. And I saw it, but I didn't like actually watch the game. But Mateta with the hat trick, like over 3 xg, and he missed supposedly at sitter in like the 90th minute +10 to win the game. So this is going to be an obvious decision for me is Arsenal to win this game just because I have triple Arsenal in FPL. Like I just made the decision. Like I know every time Arsenal's at home, maybe one goal, and I may be just making some. Are Palace their bogey team, or is that Palace with City? Does that ring a bell for you?
No, no, it's Palace's Liverpool's bogey team.
Okay, okay.
At least recently, I actually do think that Palace puts up pretty good numbers relatively versus Arsenal, but I wouldn't necessarily call them a hardcore bogey team. Like we have data with Palace, especially in the last like 5 years or so against Liverpool. It was like a pretty clear bogey team, but I don't think it's the same way for Arsenal.
It pains me to say that, like again, with me having the triple Arsenal defense, as good as a form as Palace or Bournemouth or whoever comes in to the Emirates, like, okay, Arsenal's going to win 2-0. Like, it's just one of those where I can sleep in the
Yep.
game and I can probably guess what the score is going to be and be
Yeah.
pretty close. Like, there's going to be no surprise to this. I meant to check the lineup for Arsenal and who they played against Atletico Madrid. They had Gyökeres up top. So, yeah, pretty much a full strength lineup. But
Hmm.
Gabriel getting a goal and assist as well. Your boy, Gabriel Martinelli, getting a goal. Gyökeres
Well,
getting two
Nelly in my
goals.
belly. Get him going.
Just spam corners and they'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
You have any different opinion on this than me?
No, no, I mean
Pretty. I think
this
it's
is
just
just
simple.
like
It's
a
just simple.
yeah, and I think it's going to be a very tactical game again. Like we know how Arsenal plays, especially when they know they're okay. Crystal Palace is actually a pretty tough opponent, so we need to, and they just absolutely lock it down with tactics and boring play, and then the other team has to mirror that because they can't do anything about it. Typical Arsenal game. You said it yourself. You can fall asleep during it, and you can wake up and see what the score line is and be like, yeah, yeah,
Which I mean, I am an Arsenal hater, but it's like you have to respect it a little bit. Like it's not
no,
like
you do. That's how
they're
you
not
win the
playing boring
PL.
football, but like that's just like you just know it's going to happen. Like it's just
Yeah, that's how you win
it's either
titles. Not
it's
yet,
either
but
a
that's how you
bullet
win
header off a set
titles.
piece, or it's a great set piece play where someone random like Timber score. Anyways, we'll say it. I said every week. Arsenal win to nil most likely.
Yeah.
The next game, which is actually pretty interesting, is going to be Aston Villa against Manchester City. Aston Villa, I slept on them. I forgot what you said. Maybe the whole.
I was worried. I was a little bit worried for Tottenham because of
Of course.
just because actually that's not true. I did mention Aston Villa's form and I'm like you can't Tottenham cannot let them get the first goal, which I
No,
can't remember what
we
happened in this
scored the
game.
first goal, and then they
Yeah,
scored.
and they had a comeback win. It was just Rogers and oh yeah, Rogers' goal actually
And
was starting to pick up.
So was Buendia's. Anyways, we'll get to Tottenham in a sec. But Aston Villa, they have their game tomorrow, I believe, in Europa League. Is that what they're in?
Hmm.
I don't know who they play. They play somebody. They play in the Europa League tomorrow. So they play away to the Go Ahead Eagles in Netherlands. So I
They're
would,
in Europa League?
yeah,
That's crazy.
I'd expect a
The
rotating
Go Ahead
line for
Eagles,
that.
I mean.
Even if they were like, I don't know where they're on the table in Europa League, but they're focusing on this City game, especially with the form that we mentioned. There were 5 wins in their last six, and I think two of those wins are in Europa League as well. So they have that buffer if they had to drop points. Because
Yeah.
with this excuse me, with this game against City, if they get the 3 points, like they are again based off how the table fluctuates, but 15 points is fourth place, and they're at 12 points right now.
Yeah.
So as bad as the season they've had to start, even though it doesn't show it wise, we I think we us FPLers have the Watkins and Rogers blanks in our head, and we connect that with, oh, Villa's doing terrible. They win this game or they get a point. They're just outside of Europe with before 10 games into the season. So
Yeah.
tactically, though, you have to expect them to absorb that pressure. They can't let Holland run around 1v1 with center backs.
Yep.
I
This is this
it's a cop out, but I'm gonna go draw on this one.
you're
I'm
gonna
gonna
go
go
draw.
I'm gonna go draw.
I think that's fair. This is always a goalie game to me. Like this
Ooh,
specific matchup is
yeah,
always just like it stays competitive for most of the time, and City doesn't run away with this like early or go up 2-3 nil in the first half. I don't think that's the way this goes. This is a goalie game. I mean, Martinez lives for a matchup like this, especially at home. I think Donnarumma is a really solid goalie, obviously, who can also kind of I feel like when one goalie starts going off, the other one just starts mirroring that. When you have
sure.
two high level goalies like this, when one of them starts making like good saves, the other one's gonna be like, all right, and they start making good, like so. I would say a 1-1, maybe a 2-1 City, if they can't stop Holland. But yeah, I think I think you're right. I think it stays a competitive game, and I think a draw is actually technically wouldn't be favored by anybody, by Vegas or anything like that. But I think that's a pretty good shout here.
I mentioned Kamara before uh, for Villa. He was injured to start the season, and he was one of their best players last year. And it's not Unai Emery's fault that Watkins couldn't score a goal. Like tactically, he's going to set them up to succeed. And with it being a Sunday game, with it being a home game for Villa, I think the fans there will play a role. It's really hard. And this is a great example with United. I'm not ready to flip the switch, but with Villa, I'm flipping the switch. So I think
That's a good point. Yeah.
maybe I'm. But the thing is, though, is that they have the form to back it up. So am I taking that sucker bait there? But I can't see I just can't see Villa losing this game, and that's why. But I can't see them winning this game. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
going. excellent, excellent for me. Yeah,
Yes, there
that's
you
why I like to
go.
draw. Just excellent analysis. Maybe I'll figure out what I'm trying to say later on, but we'll leave it at that. It's going to be wow. Sunday's going to be a great slate. Bournemouth at
It
home,
does have a great slate.
Arsenal at home, Villa City, and we'll get to the footy thoughts derby here in a second, but then straight into NFL as well. Okay,
God, this is
last
so
night
good.
last 9 a.m. game is Wolves against Burnley. Like I said, Wolves did lose to Sunderland. Data wise, looked great, but that doesn't get you any points. And then on the other side, Burnley won at home, but they were absolutely dominated by Leeds. This is another cop out pick. It really is a draw for me. I don't expect Wolves to keep this clean sheet, but I also see them giving it to Burnley as well. What do you think?
Ah, yeah. 1-1, 0-0. Nothing. Nothing further.
That's it.
That's it. It's so gross. So boring. Just like two shit teams that are gonna dog it out. Who cares?
I feel like I'm getting old because
Five, four.
I'm trying to think of Wolves players they've got this bright spot and an ex-Wolves player does. Like, why would you
I
give them
really
like
want John Arias to be good.
yeah,
I
John
want
Arias?
him to be good. Marshall Munetzi is actually a boy of mine. I used to bet on him a lot when he was in France. But bleh, bleh.
Maybe my boy Lyle Foster will come through for Burnley. Nice, get some away points
Watch
early
out
on.
for Fleming taking a spot,
No,
whoever
no,
that
no, no.
is. I know, it's just showing the most recent lineup, and
You don't want
Fleming
to talk about your
started.
boy Mark Anthony or Jaden
Mark
Anthony?
Anthony.
I don't even know
Jaden, I mean,
who's Mark Anthony. Where is that even from? I don't even know.
he's a uh, football player, right? Mark Anthony.
Who
It's
knows?
the most like basic name.
That's what we want to
Anyways,
talk about with the Wolves Burnley game is who Mark Anthony is. That's
no,
how much we.
it's never mind.
Anyways,
Never mind.
1-1-0-0. You heard it here. We'll move
Yeah.
on. We'll get to the game
All
that
right, the
we will be
spotlight.
watching. Footy
Tottenham's
thoughts.
first
Footy
trip
thoughts
ever
derby.
to the Dick Dock. Good
Tottenham
luck.
Everton. I do have some like clearly Tottenham fan, Casey clearly Everton fan. Why don't you take a guess? Just take a unbiased guess of who has the best away form in the Premier League.
The best away form.
Yeah,
I guess Tottenham,
they
since
sure
you're
do.
building
They do.
building it up
We
like
have
that.
3 wins and 1 draw away from home
Who have you
for
played?
Leeds, Brighton, West Ham, and Manchester City. For some reason,
Fuck
we can't
yeah,
figure it
dude.
out at home. And like
Yeah.
Thomas Frank has been in the media, like we need to make our home ground a fortress. Like we have to, can't get a win, lose to Bournemouth, game tying goal in the stoppage against Wolves at home, get embarrassed against Aston Villa. We
Guess
go
what
to
team in the last 3 years or so would surprise everybody about how good they were away from home in terms of a record standpoint?
okay. Where are you going with this?
Brentford, Thomas Frank. His
Oh,
Brentford Bees were always an away team to be worried about. And
okay,
they got wins away. There's data to back this up.
okay. I like that. So
Yeah,
your own,
but you're going
but
to be
not this
shit
week.
at home.
But
You're
not
going to be
this week.
shit at home for the rest of the year. But
But
not
you're
this week.
saying,
I mean,
yeah.
hey, this is a unique game though. This has to always be a unique game for any team because it's a brand new ground.
Hmm.
There's a lot of electricity behind. I'm not saying that I'm telling you now, I'm not predicting an Everton win here. But we've got Jack Grealish back. It's a very unfamiliar territory for any team manager. There's just a lot of unfamiliar things going on with this. I mean, David Moyes, we're still trying to, figure out what exactly our identity looks like, even though it's pretty evident that it's there. Jared Branthwaite had another setback, which really sucked to hear. That was a harsh notification. He had another setback with his hamstring, and he has to get surgery, which is
Bam.
bad. But at least Michael Keane has not been awful this year. He's actually been pretty darn good. So Alcaraz is really coming out of a shell right now, although
Probably
I
won't
don't
start. He
imagine
won't
he'll
start.
start, but he looks good whenever he's on the field. We really need Beto to score a goal because it's getting pretty dry at this point, and it's just like old news with he's got so much passion and he loves it and he leaves everything on the field. But guess who also did that? Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And it didn't
Hmm.
work. So it's
Hmm.
just like we got to come to a solution here, folks. So I don't know. I think regardless it's going to be a really fun game. Like one of the best games that you'll see that'll end like 1-1 or something.
I mean, it's gonna be so great that everyone's gonna not turn on Red Zone and keep this game on.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to say though that Romero was injured in warmups against Villa. That blew, and he did not feature today in Champions League where we drew to Monaco, but got absolutely slaughtered. Vicario had 9 saves.
Yeah.
That's
From
horrible.
Balogun.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
We don't have a striker who can score. Richie just loves getting a yellow card. Mathis Tell can't make a 9 run to save his life. He's never at the back post or front post, even though he's not a striker, so it's not his fault. Xavi Simmons can't do anything. We have
Bust.
fucking Wilson Odebear out left, who also can't do anything. But this is my cycle. It's not as many stops. Maybe
But
it's
you've got Bentaker and Polina who have developed a very good partnership.
that's
You
going to be
have to,
great. That's going to be great in the away games. But when they start at home, like we have to have creativity. Like, of
yeah.
course, I'm saying this when Polina assisted Bentancur for our only goal, so I'm going to sound like an idiot. But we just need Xavi,
Well,
and
you
then
needed Xavi to be that person,
but we need
but he
like with
hasn't
him with
been so
Sar
far.
or Bergvall. Like we can't have two CDMs when we have zero creativity up top.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my Tottenham cycle is I hate my team, but we get results, and then we're going here, and then I buy in right here, and then it's Aston Villa, it's Wolves at home, and I'm like, okay, just kidding, we're going back, we suck again. So then I'm like, okay, like away to Everton. Everton are really good at home this season. Like, there's zero chance. I'm not saying we will, but somehow it's 2-0 away win. Okay, I'm coming back, and then whoever we play next at home, just
Yeah.
so. But to give my prediction with the data of the away form, that's not biased. I will go 2-1 to Tottenham.
Okay.
I hate it. Don't think it'll happen, but just using the numbers, that's what I'll do. You got a prediction?
Yeah, I don't know. Um
2-0
I'm
Toffees.
gonna say 2-1. 2-1 Everton.
Oh, so we like both teams to
I'm
score on
gonna
the
say 2-1
over.
Everton. Jack Grealish absolutely cooks Pedro Porro.
It's kind of the Jack Grealish derby. Not really, because he didn't sign with us from Villa, but at least it is for Dylan Malsbury. So,
There you go.
all right. That was our preview of game week 9. We'll end it off with all goal scorers. Casey is you are now 3-3. You're at 500.
Okay.
He hit Mateta
Okay.
last week. He's 2 in his last 2. I am 2-4. I did not hit on Isak. I remember watching his one-on-one where he kicked it right at the United goalie. Can't remember his name, and I screamed. But we'll move on. Since Casey won, he is getting the first pick. If you would like to go,
We're gonna do a big old Semenyo this week. I couldn't decide I wanted a Bournemouth player, couldn't decide between him or Kluivert, and I'm hoping if they get a penalty, it's gonna be something where it's like Semenyo picks up the ball, but and he gives it to Kluivert, who's back on penalties, like that sort of thing.
oh, that would suck. I actually
That would
forgot about
suck,
that.
but I mean, Semenyo hasn't missed a penalty yet. Maybe he's missed one. I can't remember, but either way, we're going Semenyo this week. We're just gonna keep it grounded. He's a great
Surely,
player. I love watching
surely
him.
in his new contract, it's for him staying this summer. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna take the penalties too if I'm
Yeah,
staying. Like, there's
yeah.
no. So, I like that pick. I already used Semenyo in game week 2 where he smacked the post, so I did not get to
Mm.
reap the rewards. But I will go with, and I was in between him and Gyökeres um, for this, but I will go Woltemade for Newcastle. Didn't score against Benfica, but he only played about 70 minutes. He has good home form already. I believe he's in the Premier League on a 3-goal streak, maybe
Hmm.
4 on penalties. Like we already talked about how spotty Fulham can be, but also with their bad form, I'm going to go with Woltemade to score. So,
Love it.
Semedo for Casey, Woltemade for me, and yeah, that was our game week 9 episode. I don't know what
We
else to
stayed
say.
pretty clean there. There was no like, I suspect a big upset here. This,
Well, I mentally had to reel it back in after last week's performance. I was like, oh, this team easily wins. Opposite result. Like, so gonna reel it back in, gonna try and stay focused with Champions League fixtures, FA Cup, whatever. I think we had some good insight. So,
yeah.
like I said, that was the episode. Catch us next week. Yeah. Peace.
Peace.